choose excitement over fear. And if you are a bit fearful of losing, let's say you connect your fulfillment, your happiness to a particular skill you are good at, try to reframe to a bit more spiritual level to understand that
Mhm.
uh, your life is not about you, it's about all the other lives that you touch.
So, welcome to this episode of AI Because podcast. And we're super freaking excited to have a guest join us. And so, the guest is actually one of the main reasons that we all met.
Yes, he's a
So,
glue.
Vic Glodenis, Vic, I hope that's right.
Perfect.
Okay, I wrote it down phonetically, so no one wants to see how I spelt that. Vic is an author of Mindvalley AI Mastery, and so that is how all of us came to be, which is so cool, and one of the primary trainers. And I so enjoyed just your delivery method and the way you were just very calm and took the time and answer questions. We have a lot to learn from you, sir, on engaging people and training in the room and delivering that. You are also
Definitely.
the Chief AI Transformation Officer at Mindvalley. And if we dust off the archives, a TEDx speaker, but we won't go that far back. So welcome. And so to this episode of AI Because. So this time what we want to do is we're going to go round robin and find out, what are you guys focused on recently? What are you excited about? What are you not so excited about? I've got my own not so excited about topic. And then we'll switch because we want to hear from Vic on what's going on in 2025. So I would love to kick off. Vic, do you mind kicking us off with what is going on in your world right now, what you're excited about, or maybe not so excited about?
Mhm. It's interesting that I guess you guys focus in this podcast more on very specific tools and tips and tricks. And this is what I'm also focusing during AI Mastery when I'm teaching. So during all the time while AI Mastery is happening and during the intensive preparation phase, I'm fully going into okay, the tools, workflows, use cases, and so on. And now because AI Mastery just finished the previous cohort, I allowed myself to dig deeper into more the future of AI, trying to disassemble into bits and pieces to understand how different technologies are merging together to bring us closer to what I call agentic AGI age.
Mhm.
So you probably have heard agentic, right? It's now has become very popular. Also AGI. I like seeing these two as merged, as going hand in hand
Can
together.
you do me a favor and just explain for the audience who doesn't know
Mhm.
AGI,
Yeah.
AGI?
So AGI is overall in terms of the intelligence of artificial intelligence models. Whenever an AI model reaches a level that it can reason on approximately PhD level across lots of different domains, whatever task you give it to it, and it's very good at not just like answering specific questions that it's trained on, but also generalizing
Mm-hmm.
tasks and challenges and approaching finding solutions. Then we are reaching the level of AGI, artificial general intelligence. And even though it may seem like, oh, it's just general intelligence, right? How powerful could it be? But imagine it having the knowledge of all the world, like knowledge that we have compiled so far.
Mm-hmm.
The best level PhD thinker in whatever kind of sphere you may imagine with all the knowledge of the world. So this is what at least how I see
Well, and
AGI.
I'm gonna add there's a level of common sense in there, right? That's where we look at people and we go, oh, that's common sense. No, it's really not. But it's that
Mhm.
kind of level too that you step into. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, very good point. So this is the AGI part, right? But I believe you need to understand the importance that it's not just about intelligence. It's about being able to take action. It's not
Mhm.
just about answering questions on ChatGPT. It's being able to browse through the internet, purchase stuff, use different tools, establish various connections, plan your sequence of steps and accomplish to achieve particular goals. So here is what I talk in terms of agentic. So the AI that can create systems of different specialized AI agents working together using various tools in
Mhm.
order to achieve particular objectives. Because it will not be about one particular AI agent that's just like the super genius. It will be billions and potentially billions of agents working together with
Mhm.
access to various tools online. So yes, so in the last month, I got deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole into this area, and I have to tell you that I cannot stop thinking about it now because I think it's coming sooner than later. It's
Mhm.
coming
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
sooner than we expected because
Yeah.
while majority of experts were expecting the AI progress to plateau along the way, and they were telling that large language model, will not work in the long term. It plateaus. It depends on knowledge that we have accomplished. But we see that all these pessimistic projections being shackled, and we
Mhm.
see that the progress of AI is even increasing now. And all the benchmarks are being beaten faster and faster, not slower,
Mhm.
but faster. And what we see now is that, at least it seems like that AI models started training the other AI models.
Mhm.
Because we got into this age now of these reasoning models, so-called O family models, O1, now O3, right?
Mhm.
And the idea is that they are creating synthetic data now for the upcoming new generation AI models. What this means is that we are entering this self-fulfilling circle of continuous upgrading. We are, of course, not there yet, not at AGI level. We would see it, like we would see OpenAI not hiring anyone if it was true. But I think we are getting very close there. So that's why my mind is now just continuously has been thinking about the future of economics, the future of our psychology, of our
Mhm.
connections. What should I invest into in terms of myself, in terms of my finances and everything else?
Well, it's interesting you say that because part of it, what's coming up too, is I had a conversation with my daughter around all this stuff with humans. And it's like we can't just sit back and think that the AI is going to do all the thinking and the critical thinking, because literally we could start to create atrophy in our own brains. So
Mhm.
we have to stay engaged in the critical thinking part of this and not just hand everything over. Liam Motley did like the future in the next, to now to 2030, which by the way is not some sci-fi 100 years in the future. And it is all the stuff that you're talking about. It's all you just think about, hey, I want you to do such and such, and AI is completing these tasks like your own virtual assistant. And forward thinking of, hey, you've already got this, so I went and did this instead. And we have to be active participants in that to maintain our critical thinking so we don't atrophy our brains
Yeah.
on that stuff. Yeah, it's powerful.
Well,
Thank
also
you,
to
sir.
deploy the agents properly, right? We have to, there's got to be someone orchestrating this whole thing to make sure that everything has a purpose, right? And, goals and objectives. So there's going to be
For
always
for
plenty
now, for now. In the
Yeah.
future, see how
well,
much
That's
will
true.
yeah,
really
right.
Well, and the thing is, if you look at it and say there has to be someone orchestrating it, it almost feels like we're going, you know, grandma or grandpa in the sky, or, the almighty whatever government is responsible for that. And I think that's where we have to step in and take responsibility for ourselves within this automation world and what's happening.
Yeah.
We can't depend on other people to do that. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Manoj, what's in your world?
Yeah, so my world, we are using AI at the moment to run a campaign. So every January, I work in the risk management space where risk management teams in financial services, and every January, all the risk managers are thinking about what risks will be big in the next 12 months so that they can prepare their organizations for those risks and make sure those are part of the discussion. So we are running a campaign called 31 Days of Emerging Operational Risks, where every day we're releasing a video. So it's like a 2.5, 3 minute video on one risk topic. So like AI displacement, AI replacing human job was one of the topic we did. as part of that. So there are various AI risks in the mix, but this was only possible because of generative AI and what we learned from Wick on the course. Because without AI, so we're using tools like Descript, Midjourney, Dolly Whisper, that without these tools, it would have taken 20 hours to create a 2-3 minute video. With AI, we are able to do that in 4 hours, so that's like a big improvement. And there's a lot of human orchestration here. So it's not like, yeah, we just tell AI to create the whole video. We pick the topic, we pick which we generate like 3 or 4 scripts for the video, and then we pick the most interesting part. So there is a lot of human involvement in creating it, but at least AI is reducing a lot of the research pain, trying to find out statistics, trying to write everything in a consistent format, giving images which are consistent with our branding, for every video. So that's sort of, yeah, is where for us, it's another example where we are implementing AI from a marketing perspective. And it's getting a good feedback on LinkedIn. So we're publishing that on the Risk Spotlight webpage every day.
Yeah, I love it. I think I have dreams a little bit about the rhinoceros. I mean, like charging at me. But yeah, I've seen it. It's good stuff. It's attention getting because the movement of it. And so yeah, I'm like, oh, there they are. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. And before, I think it would have been cost prohibitive.
Oh yeah, it would have
Yeah,
been just impossible,
yeah,
to
yeah.
spend 20 hours on each video. We just
Well, even
wouldn't.
the money investment,
Yeah,
that you're paying a marketing person, then the money to be able to produce all that stuff.
yeah.
So
Because
yeah,
we will talk about the productivity of AI. The AI make it quicker, but I think there are much better use cases where what you will be able to do with AI, which you were not able to do, that in those use cases are like many, many more than
Oh yeah.
something which takes 10 hours and now takes 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you, skill sets that you didn't otherwise have.
You also have a better quality product too, because you can iterate quicker, right? Like you create and you see it and you go, oh, wait, this could be better, right? So
Yeah. I love it. Michael, what's on your mind? What's been happening in your world now that you're back in Canada
Not
and not with
much.
palm
Not.
trees behind you?
Yeah. Did your family recognize you?
Oh yeah, they did. They did. Actually, I surprised them last minute because I really had to. So I had to book it like literally a couple hours before I fly, and book the flight, and they didn't know. So I even didn't know. So I arrived in Canada and it was -10 in shorts in the airport. So because I was, but it was fun.
Michael's stretching and growing and trying new things. So it's all about, just last minute in the moment doing stuff, which
Yes.
I greatly admire, and it scares the crap out of me, in all
I've
honesty.
been,
I don't know
that's
that I could
why,
do that.
because of that part, I've been learning a lot from that is like, and is how to handle situations that come to your scenarios in life that are coming as it's coming, and you know that what is coming. So, and you get the amazing thing is that you really get surprised of the end results, which is usually unimaginable because
Yeah.
you don't know it from the beginning. And it's good. So lately I've been tapping into more real estate and playing with data and magnifying that through automation and AI together to bring something unique.
I
So
love it.
playing around in that field, yeah.
I love it.
And there's a lot of
And we're
those.
living vicariously through you as you're in different locations.
Oh,
I know Greg
I'm the
is. Greg
entertainment.
is in Canada with the weather and wanted to go to sunny something, fill in the blank. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is good to have you back, sir. Greg.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we've been a little bit accustomed now to things like Perplexity, where we can go in and do a search and get back all the factual knowledge that we couldn't imagine we could have a year ago. And what I find really, really interesting, I mean, we've got our reasoning models coming out now in a couple of LLMs, and but what seems to be the next move here is we've got like 2-layer analysis of some of the content that seems to be coming out. So we'll have a quick scan that is going to extract some of the standout information in the context of whatever that may be, whatever that information is, and then it'll go back and do a secondary analysis. and it will pull out more of the intent and maybe add opinions. I don't know if I should go as far as to say emotions, but it's going a step further, and I find that fascinating. It really is coming along with the human way of thinking. And it's going to be interesting where that goes in the next 6 months, because things are moving tremendously quickly right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that Perplexity platform you're talking about that's
No, this is it was kind of a beta testing thing that came out, and
Okay.
and they're just, yeah, it's not really on any particular LLM right now, but it could
Okay.
end up being more open source, I think, than maybe anything else.
Yeah. Gemini Deep Research, that's touching the edge of like that analytics and that deep content that comes back through. The guys from the All In podcast, we're talking about that. I haven't played with it yet. Steve, I know you have.
I use it all the time now.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
I
Okay.
use it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know about that, Vic?
What
Gemini
do you use? Sorry, which tool?
Gemini Deep Research.
Deep research. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a sec when you ask me what I'm up to, because I literally use it.
What are you up to?
I
What
use
are
deep
you up to,
research.
Steve?
Here you go.
You know, whenever I have a topic that requires any research, if it's more complex, then I will absolutely use deep research. And one of the things that I've found, and so for those of you who don't know about deep research, it's Google's latest, it's like completely next gen search, where you take something like Perplexity is great, and it will come back with references and it will be really good for that. But Gemini Deep Research is just completely next level, and it's next level because you do a search and it will come back with something very akin to an analyst paper, right? So if I used to use Gartner reports quite a bit, and this is like almost Gartner reports on any kind of topic that you want. And I would say that one of the things I really have learned to appreciate about it, besides the fact that I like the reports, is the fact that it gives you footnotes, and the footnotes are excellent. And furthermore, I find that when I follow up on the footnotes, that some of the footnotes are some incredible resources that I would never have found on my own. For example, I was looking at small and medium-sized businesses in AI. I did a report in Gemini on this. And I think the second reference it brought back was a 30-page PDF. It was like somehow or another found this as a free analyst report. I was just completely blown away. So yeah, Gemini Deep Research is just a wonderful resource. And
So did you read the 30-page PDF?
Yeah, so here's how I consume deep research. I generally will scan first, right?
Okay.
And it does a good job of breaking out sections. It's very easily consumable content.
Okay.
And then I'll look at the footnotes, and and then I will go deeper into the information.
Okay.
I really
like
it.
I've done Gemini deep research on all sorts of topics at this point, whether they be medical or whether they be business. I have a friend of mine who is in the non-destructive testing equipment market, and he wanted to go into Argentina, and so I gave him a deep research on what are his options to find a distributor in Argentina.
That's cool. I saw a Hallmark movie that had Argentina. It was put in Argentina.
Yeah.
I know nobody else can relate to that, a Hallmark movie that's in Argentina.
I've been to Argentina several times, so
I have not. I have not.
Yeah.
Vic, I see you researching something. Are you checking out Gemini Deep Research?
I'm thinking Gemini. I haven't been actively using Gemini, so I didn't. I remember they released some kind of pilot project before. I forgot the name, but I think they were testing that pilot project. It was under Google Lab, and probably now they moved it to Gemini, right?
It's interesting because I hadn't heard good things about Gemini before.
Well, let me tell you
And then now it's like, okay, so they weren't doing so great, you know, in that space, and now
But Michelle, even
emerging.
now, the large language model is not as good as ChatGPT. So ChatGPT
Right,
is still better if you just use the large language model. So this
right.
is only the deep research
Yep.
where it takes 10 minutes to go and do the research. Oh, that is better than
Yes.
Perplexity.
Yeah.
Because only
And
Yes.
that's a
Perplexity.
good
Yes.
call out, Manoj, because it is a longer period of time. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
But
it
I
takes
will
10
say
minutes.
one thing. I was going to drop it. I had it and I was paying the $20 a month and I was realized, you know, I just don't think I need this anymore. But then I've been reading this book about how basically AI works, right? And it gets into the math. And so I had a question about the dot product. In vector math, there's something called a dot product. And so, and I was really wanting to
That's a
get my
question
brain.
everyone asks all the
Well, and
time.
but
So
here's where
glad.
I'm going. Here's where I'm going with this. So I looked up. I still wasn't satisfied with my understanding of the dot product, and so I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me an explanation. But then and I didn't. I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was great. I went to Gemini, and it gave me just a much better explanation of the dot product. And I realized that I'm keeping it, and that was before deep research came out, and then it was only icing on the cake when deep research came out. So I realized for at least mathematical and other kind of concepts, I can go to Gemini deep research.
Interesting. Actually, interesting. You reminded me
Yeah.
that once AI started 2 years ago, because none of the tools was so powerful. I remember I was having all of the tabs open. Gemini at that point it was Bard. I had
Yeah.
Bing. I had Perplexity. I had Claude. I had ChatGPT and all the others. And then when I would have some kind of question, I would just copy paste everywhere. And sometimes I'd find it,
Ah.
this is better. Sometimes I would find this is better. So I was always doing like this. But along the way, I noticed that, okay, in most cases, you can trust ChatGPT
Mm-hmm.
has best or one of the best solutions across a wide spectrum. So it just simplifies your world and you can just use ChatGPT. But actually now, Steve, you're bringing an interesting idea to once again embrace this
Mm-hmm.
exploration and try to use more tools
It's
instead of.
almost like insurance. So every time my
Mhm.
insurance comes around for renewal, like every year, whatever, I don't
What's
just
up?
automatically pay it. I go out and get another quote. I need quotes again on what's going on. And I think it's the same thing with AI because to your point, it's rapidly changing. And
Yeah.
so what could have been the best, you know, 2 months ago or 3 months ago may not be the best anymore. One of the tools was one that, and it was through Mike Koenig's, I think, like AI automation program, that it was a tool that brings together all these. So the Claude and the Perplexity and OpenAI, whatever, together, and you just put one search and it searches all of them and you just pick the best answer that you want.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, how do you keep pace with how things are rapidly changing?
Though a disclaimer, I would guess for your listeners that there's also the threat in jumping too much across
Mm-hmm.
different tools. I still believe that you need to choose one in each category,
Mhm.
build your habits, your systems around that tool, and to just go for simplicity that I'm just using
Mm-hmm.
this one every day. ChatGPT,
Yeah.
I'm using now every single day. That's it.
Yeah.
But of course, you need to stay open and flexible, and from time to time to get into this playful mode. And as Steve said, that he asked a question to ChatGPT, and he was not very happy with the answer, and he was like, "Okay, let me try Gemini," right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the best approach: having
Yeah.
one that anchors you, gives you stability, but then being open and from time to time getting into this exploratory mode.
Yeah, I'm bobbleheading because I do agree with you. My preference is chat, and that's my go-to where you know
Your
customers
buddy.
user bill. Yeah, yeah, he's my buddy. Michael knows. And chat's my buddy. Chat's a guy. Okay, chat is male. And my buddy and my go-to. And so I forget about the others. I don't do Claude or Grok or um, Perplexity and the others for the most part, but the guys will explore differently. Steve's probably the one that's out there looking at everything along with Greg. He's like, look at this and look at that. I'm like, okay, it's chat's my buddy. So I agree with you. Me, the recent stuff, and I told you guys, and apparently it's back online again, is CapCut and I was so freaking bummed because I hadn't connected TikTok, CapCut, same organization. But I guess you guys told me that they're back online now. So, because I was like, what? I'm looking at some WhatsApp thread that someone goes, what do I use instead? I'm like, oh man. So anyway, my world's just been on working with Airtable, getting functionality there that can, it's like, our financials for the business, using Airtable for functionality to pull together stuff easily without having to go to another platform and pay a monthly fee that somebody else does it. So that's the exciting and sexy world that I've been involved in lately, is accounting and bookkeeping.
Using
Uh,
AI.
Nice.
Yes, using AI, it makes it sexy. I would love to shift now, because I think one of the main topics that we talked about in the beginning, Beck, we would love to hear from you, because you are, like you said, down the rabbit hole, diving into what's going on. What do you see for 2025, and maybe a little bit beyond it, what's happening that could impact the people that are listening here, small to medium-sized businesses? What's in it for me? What do you see? What's on your brain?
I will start from a suggestion that's not very common for me, because usually I focus on specific tools and workflows, but following or building on top what I told in the beginning of this podcast, that we can expect more and more change, and the change is accelerating instead of decelerating. I think it's extremely important for entrepreneurs to uh, evaluate their workforce, their employees, and see if they have growth mindset or not. Because I'm afraid that in this now age when the change is accelerating, if you have employees who are not demonstrating growth mindset, who are, affected too much by fear, and they may be stopping your progress, preventing you from implementing different approaches, technologies, and embracing the change, that may be a win or die for your business. So my suggestion, first of all, would be to evaluate your employees, your team, and to make sure that everyone has a very strong growth mindset, is ready for the future, for what's about to come.
I'm going to add to that, because my coaching brain and leadership development brain, change management brain is stepping into it, is that when you surface that stuff, because there's going to be strong fears that people have, and a lot of it's going to be around, it's going to take my job. It could replace what you currently do the way you currently do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to take away a role that you could have in the company in the future. So I think part of it too is, take a look, figure out where people sit, where their thinking is, where their fears may be. And it's your responsibility as a leader to understand what's getting in the way of them shifting to a growth mindset, to be able to remove those barriers so that you can support people in stepping into the rapid change that's happening, because fear can paralyze people and they may not know how to get out of their own way. So as a leader, have those conversations with people to understand what's getting in the way, and then you're able to help craft a path forward for them, or help co-develop what that is. So that's the thing I would add, because I don't want to leave people with thinking, oh, you
Absolutely.
don't have a growth mindset, you're out.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Michelle,
Yeah,
you're completely
yeah,
right. What I'm telling that is, it's completely normal to feel
yeah,
afraid. I'm
yeah,
a bit afraid. I know that most of the things that I have been doing in the last few years will be replaced
yes.
pretty soon. So I have a fear, but it's very important to observe how a person deals with that, and if a person has willingness,
Yeah,
openness
Yeah.
to deal with that fear, and to be open to explore what's to come.
yeah.
And if the person has this openness, then it's great. Yes, we need to coach and support, and I would say focus as much as possible on low-hanging fruits. What, let's say, Mano said that you guys are not fully automating the creation of your videos. You are still thinking about ideas yourself and so on, but you're using AI for low-hanging fruits, ChatGPT, custom GPTs, etc. So at least what all the employers at the moment need to do is to make sure that their workforce start using AI on a daily basis
Mhm.
to start hitting these first bins. Because
Mhm.
once you see that, actually it's not fully replacing me, but it's just making me more powerful. It
Mhm.
allows me to create more value, right? To fulfill myself better. Then I think this is the best way to overcome these fears and
Mhm.
prepare your team
Mhm.
Yeah.
for what's about to
And
come.
Vic, I heard somewhere recently about this, and we've started using this in our small company, is the distinction between jobs and work. So while
Mm.
Mhm.
some of the job roles may disappear, work is going to increase in terms of what the company will be able to do with AI. So I
Yeah.
see this as more of a reskilling that you need to
Mhm.
remove the employees that you are an analyst, you are this, you are that. Instead, we see that, okay, as a company, what do we need to do to deliver value to our customers? And now, who can focus on this new work or changing work we have to do? Because jobs will be replaced, but work is going to significantly increase because we'll be able to do so much more with
Yeah.
AI.
It's interesting you bring me back to, it was the first AI mastery course, and Vision had commented around it was their copywriters and using OpenAI for copywriting stuff. And the thing that I took away from it is because he was proactively looking at how AI automation, could help, he wasn't laying people off. He was just removing open roles. And I think that's one of the things to look at too as leaders. It doesn't mean that you've got these massive layoffs. Be proactive in looking about, to your point, Vision. I mean, Vic, where it's going, and connect that with what your workforce and the work that you do to be able to basically manage that stuff through attrition. So when you do have people leave, don't automatically backfill this role. Take a look and go,
Yeah.
okay, so is this the opportunity? Do we actually need to backfill this role, or can we move forward with what we know to be true and what's coming with the people that we have on the team? For me, it's a more respectful way of managing, and it does take initiative and intention on behalf of the employer too.
Yeah.
What else do you see, Vic?
So personally for me, the goals in the upcoming now half a year is to explore much more developing applications with AI or code, because I have been a no-code guy and I still believe definitely in no code, it's extremely powerful and I can build solutions very fast. But now I see that it's this turning point when AI has become so good with coding that we may need less and less of no-code solutions necessarily. So even though I'm not a coder, but I want to explore this more, especially working with tools like Cursor, and also prepare for this phase when AI models become so good that they can build solutions and automations themselves easily, so that I would be prepared once this moment comes. At first, I would be working together, and then so that at some point I could just transition to AI. And another thing is looking into agentic or AI orchestration platforms. So I'm an expert in make.com, how to build automations, including AI automations, and I plan to keep using it. But again, I'm seeing now that the turning point is coming now that you'll face solutions when AI agents start working as departments with supervisors and then workers working underneath, right? So far I have been using Flowise for that, but I believe potentially now there may be better solutions, and there are a lot of overall very interesting solutions. So now it's the next priority for me as well.
I love it. What do you guys think?
Well, from my experience, because I have used AI for some coding now, is if you're really clear about what every task is, like when you put your mind on something, like I helped one of our actual classmates in AI mastery do a royalty accounting use case. and I created a Python script for that. And it saved, gosh, I think it's saving at least 80% of their time that they were required to do royalty accounting for movies. And so, but and so I had to understand, like, if I was going to do this just as a analyst, right? Like, here is all the steps I would do, right? And then if when I was clear about what those steps were, I could get the Python. I could actually get a Python program that did these steps, right? Now it did take trial and error for sure, and but it worked, and I knew. I mean, I remember some of us having debates about this, and
Some of us,
in my
some of
mind,
us,
I knew.
some of us.
I'm not naming names.
Yeah, no, I'll
I
own it.
knew,
Okay,
I
I'll own
knew
that
in
you
my
and I
mind that this
debated.
was going to work. There was just no doubt in my mind it was going to, and it did work. It took some time, right?
Steve is funny. Steve claims to be open-minded, and yet when he has a plan, there's no openness to his mind at all. Other than, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna say I'm open-minded, but I'm not gonna even try what you're doing. I'm gonna double down on what I believe it's gonna work.
Oh, but it did work, and literally everything reconciled to the penny. I mean, to the
Yes,
penny, right?
to the penny.
To the penny.
To the penny.
Yeah.
Of
Right.
course,
So,
it took hours upon hours and upon hours, but yeah.
oh, no. And then here's the thing, is that the next months come, it literally takes, there were 5 different reports for 1 month, and it took maybe 5 minutes to reconcile all 5 reports.
It's
Because
huge.
it's a
It's
script.
huge
It just
savings.
automates everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well
so-
done. Well done. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
there's
anyway,
more than, there is more
but
than one
there was a
way
larger
to peel an
point.
apple.
There was a larger point there. The larger point is, if you're clear, if you can think through step by step what you want it to do, right?
Yep.
Then, and you have a vision for what you want, then you can get it to do. You can get it to work.
Yeah.
It takes some persistence, but you can get it to work. And when it works, it will continue to work.
I'm
So-
going to say yes, and because I think the and part of it too is because for people listening that don't necessarily know all the pieces, right? Because you have to have some level of subject matter expertise. Chat or any, these other platforms can be a good thought partner because a lot of times we don't know necessarily all the process and the piece to go through. The example recently, we were both going after stuff functionality wise. I was an Access database developing stuff because that's where my, expertise and grounded in. You talk about picking one tool, Vic, that was mine of choice back in the, and Steve's off and Michael working in Airtable. So,
Yeah.
the gut is the functionality exists, it's just different. So it's one of those things of, in order to take what you already know to be true, and then you can also start translating to other tools that might be out there as long as, but I mean, it's an interesting thing to dip your toe in the water and other stuff because there's learning curves involved. And a lot of times we may tell ourselves we don't have time for those learning curves. But yeah.
But I want to check something with Vic.
Yeah.
So something we've been talking about in the previous podcast is that when you want to use generative AI inside an organization, because you're using generative AI outside for all its internet knowledge is one, there are a lot of use cases there. But for a lot of organizations, when they want to start using AI, they want AI to also be aware of all the internal documents and information within the company so that when it's responding, it can also give answers. And at the moment in the market, Microsoft Copilot is the only option we know where you can install it. And because it works with all the Microsoft security, so if an organization is already using Microsoft Office, Microsoft Windows, then Copilot becomes just an addition, because with every other tool, you have to do a big consulting effort to put your documents, and then you have to, it's not even possible then to configure security. Is that still your understanding, that if you want a generative AI tool to work with your inside information and you don't want to spend lots of money on consulting to achieve that integration, then are there other options in Copilot you've seen?
I would say it's still the case that if you are a Microsoft Suite user, it's Copilot. If you're using Google Suite, Google Gemini has been improving, and they're releasing more and more Geminis across different tools and making it more open for various subscription plans. Let's say I even checked now that I have Gemini Pro because I have a Google Suite one account for myself. So they make it now available. So I don't think that if you're using Google, you need to move to Copilot. You can use Google, but you need to embrace that. But you need to understand that still there will be some applications that will not be properly synced, right? Because I tested multiple, it's called enterprise search platforms. And so far, I have not found any that would work really well, especially taking your unique needs into account. Let's say for me, I would love to have an enterprise search that could have access to all their table bases and tables. But I continue to learn that every time when I use an enterprise search and I want to connect Airtable, you need to connect every table separately, which is
Oh,
not possible
geez.
at all. It's not an option, right? So it still depends a lot on various limitations of each tool that you're using. But I believe actually that this is a bit, maybe a lot of us think that this is very important, but it may not be in actuality as important as we may think, because it sounds amazing, like, oh, AI having access to everything, right? All the data on your company. But think about how much trash of a data there is, how much outdated information, outdated docs that can create even too much confusion rather than actual value. So I think custom GPTs are a pretty good middle ground where you define a very clear process and what kind of knowledge it requires, and then you proactively select the sources for the knowledge to make sure that it is up to date. The limitation, of course, with custom GPTs is that you need to manually upload data as knowledge, right? But if you need it dynamic, so that let's say whenever you change on some Airtable that it would be automatically synced, you can use GPT assistance, which is custom GPT as an API. Because when it comes to GPT assistance, you can fully automate uploading documents as knowledge, and there is no limit to how much you can upload. So I think you can build such solutions pretty easily, but better if you focus a little bit narrower as opposed to trying to get all data from all your company and then facing issues.
I think what comes to mind for me, and it just depends, that one of the bigger issues in organizations that I work for is knowledge management and accessing knowledge that exists across platforms in the organization. So it could be on shared drives that I have access to, but you couldn't search the stuff. The searchability was terrible. I think what excited me about Microsoft Copilot and that stuff is because it sits on top of it, you now have that searchability to retrieve information that previously people wouldn't have had the bandwidth. So, I mean, I was director of the improvement team in one area of the organization that I worked for, and there would be other team members that have done improvement work, and it was healthcare, other parts of the organization that we wanted to learn from. Try and find it. I mean, it was like we had access to stuff. So here's this shared drive and this team shared drive because there were 26 hospitals and 250 medical clinics. We couldn't find the stuff. So I think what excited me is for those organizations that do struggle with sharing knowledge management, retrieving information, wins, that sort of thing. Copilot excited me about that because you don't necessarily have to know what you're looking for. You just have to know that it exists someplace. But to your point, Vic, there's a lot of crap out there. And I think Copilot could help you identify that. I mean, because it would
And
be tell me the stuff that's out there that people haven't touched in 10 years or whatever, and bring all that stuff back. So
But
yeah,
there's
so I
also,
agree with you. I think it depends. Go ahead, Manoj.
and then there is also element of integration, right? Because when you're working day to day, you are writing reports in Word or PowerPoint, or you have your customer complaints data in Excel. The fact that Copilot is already in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, So you can actually write, because with all the other tools, you have to use ChatGPT, then you have to copy and paste and format and spend a lot of time. While with Copilot, it's using ChatGPT in the backend, so you still get one of the best models in the backend, but all your output, it can create a PowerPoint presentation on a particular topic very easily, that if you got a PDF regulatory file, it can convert it into a presentation. So there's a lot of time saving. We have seen that for an organization, which had 100, 500,000 employees, maybe for 5 to 10 employees, other solutions may work. But for a larger organization who are already using Microsoft Office and they're using already Microsoft Windows, then Copilot is that easy step in terms of getting AI in Excel, in PowerPoint, in Word directly, plus getting all this security for free, that I don't have to do anything. It'll just
No
refresh.
additional.
That part is
Yeah.
huge, right? Because
Yeah.
well, especially in your world, Manoj, you're dealing with a lot of financial services companies, and
Mhm.
most of them are on Active Directory, and most of them already have a lot of silos of information. And the mere fact that Copilot uses all that infrastructure that's been built up, and all those GPO group policies that are in place, in respects those, that's for those organizations, it's
Amazing.
it's
And then
priceless. It's
and in
priceless.
November week, they also announced with Copilot Studio, because there's Copilot and then there's Copilot Studio, where you can create agents, like custom GPTs. They call them as agents. But in November, they allowed the functionality to now create a fully autonomous agent. So if you want to create something which will trigger when, let's say, an email from a customer comes in, and then you want to automate everything using all the AI knowledge, you can now build that in Copilot Studio. So they're also
How excited Manoj is about this. He is so excited.
it's just one tool giving so many possibilities.
Yeah,
And-
no, I think it's awesome. I'm waiting for Notebook LM to step into the functionality, at least some stuff to where you can link to your Google Drive, or you can link to whatever.
Yeah.
They're missing the boat by not having that. But I am looking
Notebook
forward to it.
LM has integration to Google
I
Drive.
haven't.
You need to
Can
sync.
you link? You can import, but I don't
No,
see
you can link to a document, but you need to, I think, manually click a button to sync it to get the newest
Oh,
information.
so let me clarify. It's not just the document, it's the whole drive.
Okay,
I
yeah.
want to link to Google Drive, my Google
Right,
Drive.
all
I
of
have
it, right,
permissions
and to pull all your information on Google
yeah.
Drive.
But it does one-off, and you can import videos and all that stuff, but it's like you've already in Google Drive, you've already got the permissions there. Let's just link to the whole drive, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
And
guys,
this is
thank
where we
you.
see
This could, we're like, this could go on for hours. And then it would no longer
Good.
just be a podcast. It would be like an all-day event.
Symposium. It'd be a symposium.
It would. It would be a whole summit symposium that's virtual. I want to thank all of you, because I love being in the room with you. And then Vic, if there's one thing that you would love people to walk away with from our topic, what would that be, sir?
I would say choose excitement over fear. And if you are a bit fearful of losing, let's say you connect your fulfillment, your happiness to a particular skill you are good at, try to reframe to a bit more spiritual level to understand that your life is not about you, it's about all the other lives that you touch. And AI provides us with an opportunity to create the world of abundance. I know it sounds very maybe naive, but it does provide an opportunity for us to create the world of abundance. And we have a historic opportunity to be the ones who observe this and who influence this new world, right? And I think the most important thing is to do as much as possible, reframe, going away from our ego, thinking in terms of us, but thinking in terms of what we can do together as a humanity in this age of abundance. And I think then it may be way easier for all of us to manage with all the change that's about to come.
I love it. Thank you, sir.
I
I've
love
enjoyed
that.
the time in the room. Always with you guys. Until next time, this has been Anya Because. Please like, share, subscribe. Let us know your topics, and we will
got
see
the
you
spark
soon.
in the
Thank you.
circuits now.
Bye, everyone.
Sunny's listen, we'll show you how. A new wave rising, it's clear and loud. AI's the future, let's make you proud. Data and dreams combine in the air. From cloud to code, oh, we're everywhere. Innovation driving, we're breaking ground. With AI tools, let's turn it around. AI become a use. We're powering your moves. Tech that's here for good, bringing all the moods. Ooh.